All right, welcome back to the Crimson Metal Show. I am your host, Glenn Flansburgh, and we are live on the air with Chris McLernon. Let me get that right. McLernon?
You got it.
All right, with
Well done.
Chris McLernon, the bassist for Saigon Kick.
That's right.
And so how's it going, Chris?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good, man.
Doing real good. So how's the band going? I saw recently that you guys I think you just played in New York recently, and before that you were on the 70,000 Tons of Metal.
we were. Yeah, we just got back from New York City where we played Webster Hall and had a blast. And then we did the Monsters of Rock cruise before that.
Sweet.
And then before that we played Chicago.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, I have a cousin out in Reno who is a huge Saigon Kick fan.
Nice.
And he was telling me a story today that him and his wife had bought some tickets to go see you guys out, I think in L.A. at the Viper Room. The Viper Room.
The Viper Room, which we will be there in 2 weeks.
All right. Well, there you go, Jamie. He will be there in 2 weeks. So,
Yep. We're playing the 28th.
28th.
Sweet.
Yep. Yes, we are.
Where are you guys after that?
The next one I know for sure off the top of my head is we are doing 3 dates in Texas. So we'll be doing, I think in order, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston.
Cool. Are you playing in Deep Ellum in Dallas?
We're playing Trees in
Trees. Oh, yeah. Classic venue. Great.
Dallas. Yeah, which, I mean, Texas was always very good to us. And we went and asked our buddies essentially, okay, where should we play? And that was the name that came up over and over. So we're like, okay.
Sweet. That'll be
We're
a
there.
great show.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
I love Texas, so I'm easy to please there.
Well, we're only what, about 3 hours
Yeah.
from Trees.
Yeah.
I've picked up a couple of shows there. As a matter of fact, I think we
Yeah.
have a show there next month that I'm trying to get, my good buddy Evan here to go with
Is
me
that the
to.
Sabaton
That's
show?
the Sabaton Battle Beast Leaves Eyes. I think it's going to be a pretty amazing, power metal show.
Yeah, I'm sorry to miss that one.
Yeah. But anyway, Chris, I was telling you earlier that my cousin he'd bought these tickets to go to the Viper Room, and he lives in Reno. They had plane tickets and everything, and the plane got delayed, and so they missed the show, and he was devastated. So he has a question of, and you just answered this one. He said you guys only do like maybe 2-3 shows a year out on the West Coast.
Right.
And you play, I guess, quite a few on the East Coast.
Yeah, we have Mover, our drummer, is the only one I think right now who's mostly West Coast. So Matt, myself, Jason, and Steven are all East Coast. Jason and I are in the Carolinas, and Matt and Steven are in Florida.
Right.
So
And speaking of Matt, right, let's see. I'm looking at this question that he's just sending. He says, are you guys just performing your stuff, or are you guys performing Matt's material as well when you're playing these shows?
we're just doing right now the Saigon stuff. I know, like Jason and myself have both said, we'd love to do stuff off of Matt's solo record. I like Tacoma stuff too, so I'm completely open for either. Mm-hmm. It's just working it in.
Right. Now he also asks, any new material?
We have been toying with it. It's so we have ideas. We have a couple of demoed out things. We just haven't come up with something that kind of stands against the monolith that is the back catalog.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to somebody recently about this, where I really like Van Halen's different kind of truth, but a lot of people didn't, because they've been listening to the first record since it came out.
Yeah.
So
I liked it. I liked it a lot too.
Yeah, I thought it was great. The new Soundgarden was cool, and some of the new Kiss stuff is pretty cool. Sometimes it falls flat. New stuff does, and sometimes it doesn't. But we want to make sure it really stands up, and then it still sounds. Luckily, it will always sound like the band because of Jason and Matt. Mm-hmm. So that's a plus. It's just getting it to where we like it and go, okay, let's throw it out there, and then most likely it'll be. I'd say if it happens, it'll be debuted live, and probably just whip it out on some unsuspecting crowd somewhere and say, by the way, here's a new one.
It's always good to whip it out on unsuspecting crowds. I feel like that is the number one thing to do.
It's a talent I think more people really should exhibit.
I agree.
Now, back when the Lizard came out, there was an import of the
Back when
Lizard
the Lizard came out.
that included
There you
a.
go. See, staying with the theme.
Yeah, we're gonna stick with the Lizard here.
Sorry, I'm a singer in a band. You know that.
Yeah,
It's got to be that way.
there was a bonus track where you guys did a cover of a Beatles song, "Dear Prudence."
Yep.
So the question is, what was the influences of the band, and was there a lot of Beatle influence, whether by the band or by Jason?
Yes, to all. Huge influence on everybody. I have all 4 of them tattooed on me. So that's literally one of the earliest memories I have. But yeah, if you took Jane's Addiction and the Beatles and stuffed them together, you get Saigon Kick.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So when you played in the band Cold Gin, did you or did you not dress up like Gene Simmons?
Oh, it's completely. 100%.
Now,
And I would like to point out I'm probably one of the only few people that Gene Simmons has written a check to
Wow.
because I dressed as him.
Oh, very nice. That's
Yeah,
a interesting bit of trivia.
That is.
Now, were you better looking than him or in the
He'd
makeup?
tell you yes.
Oh, okay.
The difference was between he and I had no chest hair, and he did.
You could have glued your pubes on. That would have been like
It's true, or just not cleaned my chest off after a haircut.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That'd work.
But he also said, also my eyes are blue and his are brown. And I didn't have the kinky hairdo. But
No.
he looked at me and he goes, I was never that thin. I was not even close. Not even close. I've seen old pictures of you. You were pretty skinny.
He was.
Not even close. Not even never.
That's
That
a pretty
voice
good
is very close to his. That's
a pretty
impressive.
good
Yeah.
impression.
Thank you. He's one of my favorites to do. You should see. Speaking of, you guys had Black and Blue on earlier. That moment I'm telling you about is Gene hired us to play Paul's birthday party.
Oh, wow. That's
Paul's 40th birthday party. Yeah, it's called Gin. And unbeknownst to us, our future president was there too, who I asked to lend me $100 for the bar, and he said no.
And that was the
Yeah.
day you met George W. Bush.
That's true. Actually, it was Alexander Hamilton.
Nice.
Actually, he wouldn't have been president. He would have been the president of the first bank of the United States.
That's
The
true.
Secretary of the Treasury.
That's true.
yeah.
There you go. Right there's my nerd, and it was
Hey.
post-duel.
Well, we're
So-
broadcasting at a university, so
Yeah.
dictum is allowed on this show.
I know. I gotta have my game on.
Yeah.
What
So,
other time can we talk about a vice
you're
president
bringing it.
killing a Secretary of the Treasury?
Right, yeah, there you go. So Gene, here's Gene, myself, Jamie St. James, who does an amazing Gene Simmons impression, and Steve Bird, who is their lighting designer, and also Patrick Young, that's his brother, Steve Young. So we're all standing in a circle talking to Gene like Gene. And it was a really surreal, funny moment because he's denying that he sounds like that. And you have all 3 of us going, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I don't sound like that. Yes, you do. No, I don't. I don't. You're exaggerating. I don't sound like that. I'm telling you, you do. No, that's a figment of your imagination. Wait, do it again. Let me hear it again. So
That's
it was
so
just.
good.
That's just,
I
that's
think you
just
found
the sort of.
Chris. I think you found another gig.
There you go.
the Gene Simmons stand-up show starring Chris McLernon.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's lots of material.
You'd have to pay Kiss a commission, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you ever had talked to Fred Corey from Cinderella, you got to get him to do his Paul Stanley.
So what back in the day, or maybe now still, I mean, what venues did you like to play on the Strip? What was your favorite one?
Well, I got there in '85. So as I was getting there, Poison was about to get signed. Guns N' Roses was becoming Guns N' Roses. Hollywood Rose and LA Guns sticking it together, and then
Yep.
it was like Poison would just sell out the Troubadour in a flash.
Yeah.
So I think the first one I actually played on the Strip was the Roxy. So the Roxy, Gazzarri's, Trub, Whiskey. There was this,
Tropicana.
the Viper Room was called the Central. FM station was there. You had the Country Club out in Reseda. And it was just nuts. I was just there recently, and it's just so weird to see the Strip empty on a Saturday night because it would it was a madhouse. Thousands of people walking up and down from Doheny to Larrabee just all weekend long. It was nuts. And to consider the amount of bands that came out of that, 2-year stretch, it's pretty, just 85 to 87, let's say. It was just incredible. They're still around.
Yeah.
Well, we often talk about that with other acts.
Right.
About what has changed. Why do we have this sort of, great, environment for sort of growing metal, and then what's changed throughout the years to make it less of an environment?
Who do we have a couple of weeks? We had a L.A. band called Raven Black just a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking. We were talking about they were playing the Whiskey, and how it's just that whole strip now is almost dead. It's not the way it used to be.
We talked about the pay to play model,
and
the idea of pushing tickets and the promotion, and just sort of our question is always, what has changed? Is there something different with promoters, something different with ticket agents, something different with the bands? Is it the audience,
the venues?
Who is it?
Yeah,
I'll say it's the audience. Because there was, when we were just getting there, the pay-to-play thing was just starting, which was, we were just, this financial sodomy was just amazing. Here's 1,000 tickets, you're responsible for them. Really? How am I going to do that? By the way, they're $8 a pop.
Yeah.
You're just like, huh? So, the Trube was the only one that just gave you tickets, and then if you had to sell out, get a couple, a certain number in the door, and then they would move you from a Tuesday or Wednesday night to Sunday. And then from Sunday, if you did well, you'd go to Friday or Saturday, and then you work your way up the chain. But the others with the promoters, X amount of, you do these tickets and pre-sell them, and some bands were pretty good at it. I hated it. But most bands did. Jane's Addiction fought it hard and won. But I think the problem now is, and musicians actually are kind of to blame for this too, for giving the music away. Whereas in the old days, if you wanted to see, let's say, Racer X or Shark Island or LA Guns or Guns N' Roses, you had to go to the venue and see them.
Yeah.
There was no two ways about it, and it was an event. It was you could only play once a month, because let's say you played the Roxy, you couldn't play the Trube within 2 or 3 weeks because it was a half mile away.
Right.
So you'd have to rotate through.
Okay.
So it was an event, and there was a lot of shit bands too. I'll be the first to admit. And I may or may not have been in one of those or two. Just saying. And then now the audiences, they expect, I think they expect the music to be given to them. And then, the musicians are just horribly guilty of doing that, especially with the whole streaming thing. And here just, get it for free. Kind of thing. Well, how did you pay for this so we could get it for free? Somebody had to pay for it with studio time and all that stuff. So now you're giving it away. In the old days, that was a step to get to the record company. The demo was. The demo had nothing to do with the fans. Now it's, thanks to technology, you record on a hard drive, you throw it out there, and everyone's got it. Or they throw it up on YouTube and just, thank you very much, and I didn't have to pay for that.
Yep.
So I think it's the musical equivalent of don't feed the animals, because then the animals won't learn to feed themselves and go hunt anymore. And that's what the audience has become. It's just kind of like, whatever. I don't have to go very hard to look very hard, to find this stuff. And I just, I don't feel like going out. And I won't. Whereas with us, at that era, and certainly the generation before us, that was what you did. I remember I was playing a gig in town here in Charleston where literally the bartender was saying, can you turn the drums down, like in the PA? They weren't even in the PA yet. They were complaining, we're not going to be able to take drink orders. I remember playing the Shuffle in Madison, Wisconsin in 84, 85.
Madison, mad.
Yeah. So, full on, 2-3 stacks each side.
Yep.
Just, drying your hair. It was so loud. No one had any problem taking drinks orders. No one ever told us to turn down. None of that shit. So it's just become odd. How the what's the word I'm looking for?
Sounds like the cat likes it loud too.
Yeah, no shit. All of a sudden, now we got Ted Nugent in here. The cat decides, hey, it's 10 o'clock at night. Hey, I like to talk too. Is that a phone you're doing? Here's what I think. So, but yeah, I think the whole atmosphere around it is just fan base and change, the change is coming from the fan base. And there's still only one real way for a band to make money, and that is touring.
Yeah.
So it's this weird paradox of you got to get people out there, but you got to give them a reason to go.
Yeah, and that's kind of been my argument this whole time is that I think a lot of bands are considering, or at least I think more of the fans think that the band should be giving their music away as kind of a business expense, and then
the lost leader,
yeah, and then so your recorded music is a business expense, and that you recoup that by playing live shows and selling merch.
Right.
And it's an interesting paradox because I've seen venues. We have some venues that won't pay bands to play the first time they play there.
Right.
So you end up, you go there to play and they're like, oh, we're not going to pay you, but you can sell your merch and stuff there. You can sell your CDs, but if you're giving away your music, you're not getting. In the end, it's always somebody's getting paid, but it's usually never the creators of the content.
Right, and again, who are their own worst enemy? It's like if I owned a restaurant, can I just come in and just eat until I'm full and let you know if I like it or not?
Yeah.
Nobody in the right mind would use this business model. But,
no.
There's a great story about Pablo Picasso knowing his worth as an artist, because artists and creators, like I mentioned earlier, are just their own worst enemy. Someone said to him, you're Picasso, you're famous, you're this and that, how do I get a Picasso? And he said, give me a $1 bill. And they gave him the $1 bill, and he said, how much is this worth? I said, it's worth $1. And he signed it, and he handed it back. He goes, what's it worth now?
Yeah.
So he knew. He's one of the rare ones who knew and was aware. There was an article with Harry Shearer lately talking about the fact that they're suing for Spinal Tap royalties. And it was just like, I'm reading this going, yeah, right. It's and they agreed to everything that everyone agrees to, but now they're in a position where they can fight back, and hopefully they can do something about it, as opposed to someone caving in and saying, oh well, I just feel lucky and I'm just glad I can make a living on what I'm doing at it. And well, yes, but don't give it away. What's the line from the Joker? If you do something good, don't give it away for free.
Yeah.
But
words to that effect.
30 years ago, I mean, when you guys were rocking on the Strip, people were showing up. People wanted to pay. They wanted to pay to watch you play live. They wanted to pay top dollar for the albums. They wanted to pay top dollar to see you guys on tour. So what helped create that kind of energy and that kind of demand among the fan base?
I think it was, let's say, in certainly like the model on the Strip at that point was hustling. You just got out there and you just worked your ass off with flyers and tickets and whatever. And then when you showed up, there was no, oh, well, I'm going to kind of half-ass this or do whatever. I mean, Poison at one point sold out. This before they got signed. They sold out the Country Club in Reseda, which, if I'm not mistaken, was an 1,100-seater.
Wow.
7 nights in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they really hustled.
Oh yeah, and then Warrant was right behind with that shit, but then Jane's Addiction took the other end of it, where we're just going to play these other clubs, but we're going to hustle the same way, and we're going to take the money that we aren't giving to a promoter for pay to play, and we're going to record our own stuff and do our own label.
Yeah,
so
because they've always had that indie label kind of vibe.
Right.
Yep. And so I think in that sense, there was also, you felt like you, instead of getting stuff for free, and that's what you owned. You felt like you owned part of the band and part of the band's struggle because you supported them. I guess the parallel would be if you're a sports fan, and except you're not expected to outgrow if you're a fan of, like for me, the Green Bay Packers. You're not expected to outgrow that, but you're expected to outgrow Guns N' Roses or Saigon Kick or whatever, Kiss.
But who does? I mean, I have.
Right. Right. Well, that's kind of the cool thing with with our generation, mine anyway.
Yeah.
They're not outgrowing. It's accepted, so it's cool. Whereas the one I think just before us was considered like, when are you gonna, why are you 45 years old and wearing a Van Halen shirt? Well, now it's totally fine,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 48 years old and I'm wearing an Anvil T-shirt. So
And you're wearing a what?
Anvil.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, one of the things that we've talked about before is sort of the role of radio stations and maybe how that's changed with bands and promotion. What do you think? How does that compare? With when you guys, let's say 30 years ago or 3
Okay,
years.
this is good. This is fantastic. This is like Morse code. I heard about 2/3 of that. And it came in on, what do you think? I was like,
Oh, awesome. Well, sorry, my mic was a little low. We were sort of talking about radio stations and what role radio stations play with trying to get the music out or promotion with bands. What do you
Right,
think?
because you have like Spotify and Pandora. You have all these streaming sites now where where people can just go to and listen to music. And how does radio fit into this formula anymore?
Yeah, it's got to be killing terrestrial radio. I mean, and then of course you got the satellite, which is just, it's cool because you can find anything. And I like the fact on Spotify and Pandora and what's the other one, Django or Banjo something, that you can again find anything, but you're having to get your way on there, and that's such a task. And now it is splintered in so many directions, and then with the streaming companies, they're just hosing the artists. And that's, you used to, and I was at ASCAP last year, and so if you had a song as a writer on a million-selling record, you'd make about $90,000, which is not bad.
Yeah.
That's one song.
Right.
So let's say I was on, Ozzy's, I wrote something on No More Tears, let's say, and I wrote 3-4 songs. Well, Lemmy did, I guess, and he used to talk about how much money he made from that. So let's say I had 4 songs on it. That's a pretty good year, Now I think they said it's the similar math with Spotify and all that. You would make $30.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have one of my albums on Spotify, not Spotify, but Pandora.
It's on Spotify too.
Well, both of my albums are on Spotify, but I have one that's on Pandora, and I had to jump through hoops to go through Sound Exchange and get that all registered so that I could, put my bank account information in there so they could pay me. They have never made a single direct deposit.
Nope. No, dude. I have one of my pet side projects is I have an instrumental surf band, and I hear it. I know it's on there. I mean, it gets played, and like you said, all the Sound Exchange and Spotify and the hoops you jump through to get all this stuff. I have to argue and fight to get paid for this stuff, and and it's not like I've bought my house in the Hamptons with it yet. Right. But in the old days. And this is even old days considering like 11 years ago, you could still make money off of satellite and terrestrial radio. Mm-hmm. But those days are just gone. Again, radio seems to be an incredible loss leader. And it's tough to get on that too. It's brutal to get on the radio.
Right.
So if you have a back catalog, you're killing. If you're Boston, you win. But if you're, let's say Pop Evil, you got to fight to get on there.
Yeah. So you said that one of the things, the selling points of fans from the Sunset Strip scene was being able to not just become fans of the band and their music, but also identify with them through their struggles and through their, biography.
Oh, yeah.
Can't that still happen? I mean, maybe we have to change the methodology, but that philosophy or that principle could still happen today, couldn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I think with the fact that kind of like with how baseball the NFL and Major League Baseball have splintered out the leagues in so many, franchises, as opposed to, I think at one point in baseball there was something like 8 teams. So way back in, let's say, 1975, Warner Brothers was signing 2 artists a year, maybe, and now you have God knows how many just from people who are releasing their stuff, let's say, on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So everyone knows about the struggles, but it's so much more pixelated and all over the landscape that you can't really zone in on it. So again, in LA, you knew at that point on the Strip there were 4 or 5 bands that were really the ones to get behind. Everyone else was just kind of a pretender, and they were remoras following the Sharks around.
Yeah.
But I mean, clearly, with every band, they have the supporters, they have the people who are close behind them, the girlfriends, the wives, the families, who help ridiculously. But that core group can only do so much. I think the difference on the Strip days was you had that core group, and then you had this slew of people behind them who would just, like, I remember there were some bands you'd see there at the rehearsal studio, 40, 50 people would be there to just watch them rehearse.
Yeah. So the fan entourage was always around.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
were there a lot of you were saying there was like maybe 4 bands at any given time, but how many bands were trying to compete?
Oh my God. You'd have, let's say, Tuesday through Sunday as your venues. So at the Roxy, let's say it was Roxy, Whiskey, Trube. Let's just pick those 3. And Ellen Gazzari's, let's pick those 4. There would be at least 3 bands a night, each night of that week. So, and they were all different bands.
Wow.
So if you go back and if you can find an old BAM or an old Music Connection, just look at the ads, it's just, I remember getting there and going, oh my God, you're kidding me. Because I was coming from Madison, Wisconsin, which was a state capital, fairly decent sized city.
Yep.
Maybe 20 bands total going for everything.
Good rock
and
town too.
Yeah, awesome, still is. And and I was in one of the biggest bands there. That's why we figured, we'll move and we'll make it big. So from there, it was a matter of, okay, now I'm gonna go to LA and see what this is like. And I could not believe the first time I opened one of the papers and went, you're kidding me, there's this many bands.
That's funny.
Oh my God. And you're walking in, like one of the first things I saw was this shredder guitar competition at the Whiskey. And
Who
the guy
was
who won it was, Paul Gilbert won it.
Oh,
that should tell you. 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, practically pulling out the noose and putting it around my neck on the way home. What was I thinking? It was the level of competition was just through the roof. Again, you walk and you see, a sold out crowd just going bananas over whoever, and I'm thinking to myself, this is just going to be, wow. Well, you talk about not being in Kansas anymore. Yikes.
But you stuck it out. I mean, how did you guys get through it?
No.
Well, I moved out there with 4 guys, and I was the only one who made it out of the 4. So if you go by statistically speaking, you think your chances are 25% if you head out there. And then I got in Cold Sweat, and I was the only one who got a second deal out of the Cold Sweat thing. So that was, your chances got even lower because there were 5 guys. That's 20%. I think with me, I just really wanted to do it. It was who I was. Part of it was certainly the watch this. I'm going to go hold my beer, that kind of thing. Yeah. Watch this. I'm moving out west and I'm doing it. I told everyone I was going to do it. I was not going to go home. No dice, no way, no how. And I had friends who did, and they're completely happy with it. And we've talked about it since. Like, how did you stay? I was like, I don't know. I had 3 jobs and just I was just going to do it. And when I met Matt and Jason filled for the first time, they had the exact same mentality. Like, well, we just went in the warehouse and we just wrote, and we were going to do it. We just were. You don't know how you're going to do it. You just do it.
All right.
We
Well,
have no idea.
well, let's take a little musical break here and play a Saigon Kick song. And
Sure.
I want to play my favorite, my personal favorite. It's off of Devil in the Details. It is called "The Sky Is Falling." Yeah, you want to give us a little segue into that one?
Sure. That one was that one is all Jason and I, if I remember correctly.
Cool.
He said I had this idea, kind of a industrial kind of thing, and if I'm not mistaken, it starts out with, or does that one? Does it just start, or does it start with that kind of glass breaking sound? I haven't heard it in a while.
I don't think it has glass breaking, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It's just got a
What
cool.
does it do?
It's got a cool groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's
Yeah.
got a great synth bass line and a
Yeah.
great bass line that goes with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
I can
Cool.
break some glass just in case it
Yeah,
doesn't
we,
have it.
yeah. If it doesn't have,
Okay, then that's on the demo. Sorry, and I think that might have been, dude, we got to put that on there. No, we can't. No, yes, we can. Yeah. These are the things fans argue about. Yeah,
Yeah,
the important stuff. Yeah,
I agree about that. Still to
All
this
right.
day.
glass breaking.
All right. Well, without the glass breaking, here is "The Sky Is Falling."
Nice.
See your spirit.
All right, so we are back on KXOU with Saigon Kick bassist.
The voice of OU.
Yeah, the voice of OU with Chris. So Chris, we were just talking about the Sunset Strip and everything, and I had a question, and this is I'm just going to throw this out there because it's kind of one of the things that I contemplate about kind of how the music industry has changed over the years. Here is potentially like Spotify and Pandora and all these things. When I was a kid, when I was in the 80s, and I wanted to go out and find some new music, listen to some new metal, because I grew up in the middle of Oklahoma where not even the middle, it was out in the middle of northwest Oklahoma where there was really there was no metal stations, there was no rock,
Right.
It was all country.
Yeah.
So when I got into the Navy and I was first looking at music in the record stores, I would look at the album covers and I'd go, wow, this metal band looks cool, or this metal band looks cool. But I had a limited income, so when I would go buy a cassette tape. At that time, it was cassette tapes.
He bought the blackest album you've ever seen.
Blackest.
Right.
So
it's like the darkest shade
black.
of black.
Yeah. So I would spend, my $10 or $13 or whatever it was on a cassette tape. It was an investment. It wasn't like something that I could take back to the store. I could listen to and go, oh, this sucks. I want my money back and trade it in on something else. It was, and it's not like something that I could preview before I bought it too. I'd have to do my research. Maybe look in some of the magazines and, Kerrang and those other magazines.
Right, Kerrang or Raw, or what was Raw? Wasn't that another one?
Heparator, Circus.
Circus.
Yep.
Circus was
Rip.
the big one, yeah. And so,
Circus, Cream.
when I bought a cassette tape, I'd take it home and I would listen to that. And I would listen to it over and over and over again. And if I didn't like it the first time, by about the 10th or 12th time, I did like it because I would get used to it.
Yeah.
I'd get used to it. So it was an investment. And I feel like today's market with Spotify and Pandora, you listen to a track, you listen to the first 10, 15 seconds of it, you don't like it, you go, skip, go to the next song.
Yep.
And so you don't get that repeated play.
Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Yeah. So
you're not forced to sit through it.
And I think that's one of the things that's kind of what's killing music is also, with radio, you couldn't fast forward. You had to sit through. If you didn't like the song, you still had to sit through it to get to the next song. But with these streaming services, if you don't like it, you just skip it and move on. And I'm wondering if that hasn't played a huge disservice to the music creators out there.
I totally agree. And the parallel was when I was at ASCAP a couple of years ago. And ASCAP is the American Society of Composers and Publishers, or Performers, one of the two, I forget. It's the last letter, so I don't care. But they were talking about how they now songwriters, mostly producers, try and come up with something that catches the listener within the first 5 seconds to keep them from flipping the channel or hitting the little click, next button. 5 to 10, they try and get it in there. So like in the crazy example, like, oh my God, in the old days it was Bon Jovi throwing out the shot through the heart and ear to blame. They start with the chorus a cappella. That was, nobody can believe what they were doing. It's like, oh my God, what an amazing idea, and you're in, pulled you in. Clearly worked for them, but with the attention span now, I can get it now. It's all RAM. It's no hard drive. Everyone no one has any knowledge. They Google it. So we'll have discussions with friends of mine, and someone will throw out a trivia question, and you'll do what our drummer Jonathan says: consult the oracle. Everyone goes for the phone, and so we have a rule. No phones. Who knows the answer or don't? Who is it?
We would like to say
phone.
that this broadcast is brought to you by Google and Wikipedia.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So you just kind of go, where's the patience in it? You have to, at some point, in order to enjoy something, you have to get the whole picture. You can't just look through the keyhole.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's tough. I'm just as guilty. I will get music from bands. Hey, check out my band, and it used to be about 15 seconds. Well, I swear that after 5 seconds, if I don't like it, I'm hitting next.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, to be fair, some deserve that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You're right. I think we're conditioned to it now.
Yep.
Like I remember when I was in high school, and this is like a little bit different, I guess, but back before they had reality TV shows on MTV all the time, I would just sit there and like watch MTV. In like 1998, I'd be like, all right, when's Space Lord gonna come on? Because that was one of my favorite songs. But and I'd just sit there and wait, and I'd wait and wait and wait, and then all of a sudden, hey, there it was, and it was gonna be there. It was in like the TRL top 10, and that was awesome because we got to see music videos that way, and that's something else. I mean, that's like you visually get to see what your band looks like. You get to visually see stuff that because if you live in Oklahoma and that band doesn't ever come there,
right?
It's like being there. Now it's all YouTube, and so if you don't know about it, if it's not played on whatever you're listening to,
Right.
I mean, you have instant access to whatever band you want to listen to, but at the same time, you're not hearing bands that are getting play. You're not getting that connection automatically.
Well, and then with everybody having a video camera in their pocket, they can go to a show and they can film it and they can post it up on YouTube. And now, who needs to go to the show? I can just go to YouTube and get the same experience.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that's killing even people going to live shows.
Is that really happening though? I mean, are people really? It's just hard for me to fathom that someone can actually get a satisfying experience of watching a band live on YouTube, and you wouldn't go watch them live if they came to your town. That you'd rather watch them on YouTube than actually go to the venue and watch them.
Well, you might rather do that than drive let's say they're not playing in Oklahoma City, but they're playing in Dallas. I mean,
right?
Well, that's true. I mean, I can't.
I would make the trip.
That might call back to your proving ground kind of thing. Well, do I want to drive 3 hours? Let me look at some YouTube stuff and see if they're any good and if they're worth the drive.
Right.
That might be happening too.
And we deal with that here in Central Oklahoma.
Yeah.
because this is still flyover country for a lot of
because nobody good like Saigon Kick ever comes to Oklahoma.
That's right.
There you go. See, it's our fault.
We can play
I
with you
apologize.
if you come. Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there.
But see, I grew up in a small town in Ohio, so there was no way I could get my parents to drive me to Columbus or Cleveland to see who I wanted to see. Not a chance. Mm-hmm. So I finally didn't start seeing bands until I was like 18 and living in Milwaukee. And at that point, like you brought up Circus, you only saw pictures of Van Halen.
Yep.
And they were like the second or third band I ever saw, and I could not believe what I was seeing. No one could tell you what that was like. There was no YouTube. There was no someone had it on their phone they could show you. No, it was just the people talking. I saw them last night in Madison, and they could just talk about it, or Chicago, or whatever. And okay, and then you had to experience it for yourself and see it.
Yep.
And it's that part of it. If the band is still good, that still exists. It really does.
So how did you get to Wisconsin? I lived in Madison for 5 years. I'm from Illinois originally.
We moved there. I'd gone to a prep school in New Jersey, and I was supposed to go to Boston University. And as it turns out, I'm the oldest of 5. So my dad was like, can you cut me a break here and go to one of the Wisconsin schools? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went to UWM first in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And then went to I think it was an Iowa Badgers game, Hawkeyes Badgers game.
Yeah.
And went, I think this is where I want to go to school. And
on Wisconsin, baby.
Yeah, frick, yeah, you nor.
That's
so
right.
That's
Go
how
Bucky.
I got to Wisconsin. Go, yeah, we know the other expression for Bucky too.
Uh-huh.
We're
all on the air, though.
I know, I hear you. So, but that was the last winter I could deal with. I was like, nope. So I moved in May of '85 to Los Angeles, and I haven't lived in a place that had a winter since. No thank you. My blood thinned quick.
I hear that. So, Chris, tell me about your gear. As a fellow bass player, I always like to know what other bassists are using. When
we just played New York, I just take at this point whatever the venue throws at me, which tends to be a lot of the Mark IV stuff, or Ampeg. When we did the cruise, I had my favorite setup, which was a GK head and an SVT 810 bottom.
Uh-huh.
I will take that any day of the week.
So you like the Galen Kruger stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. I love Ampeg too, but the Galen Kruger it's got a growl to it that when put through its own cabinets, it's okay. But when it's put through the 810, it's amazing. It just really is. And then right now I'm playing Schecter live, but I mean I played ESP for years. I like it as simple as it gets. My Schecter right now is active. I prefer to have one pickup, one volume knob, and the cord, and then the amp, or the wireless and the amp. That's it.
So J or P style pickups?
I like both. I prefer to have a PJ style, because I think with the precision, it get a little too much mid-rangey honk. And if you have just the jazz, and I have a jazz I really like, but it can get a little too Jocko sounding for you, for rock, So that combo is certainly for Saigon Kick is perfect. Or, like I'm a huge Phil Lynott fan from Thin Lizzy, but you can tell that's a precision, hardcore, at least early on. Then he kind of changed out his thing with Ibanez, and they're a little more round sounding. But I mean, one of my favorite basses is an old Precision with a PJ. It's kind of Frankenstein that was put together, and it just sounds incredible. But I'm not taking that on the road, because if I lose that one, I'm dead.
Yeah. So
I'm not replacing that.
That's a museum piece.
So four strings, 5 strings. What do you?
4.
4.
Yeah, 5. I can't get used to 5. I've
Yeah.
tried and I've tried and I've tried.
It took me a while, but now I can't play a 4 because the strings are too far apart.
We'll see, and that's why I can't play 5. They're too close. Totally. I mean, and I always go, okay, I'm on the 7th fret. Oh, that's a B. No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's an F sharp. Nice job. And it kind of fits because, oh, look, it's a 4th. It still kind of sounds right.
Yeah.
Not really. What are you doing, McLernon? So I played one when we were on the Water Tour for a couple of tunes, like Sergeant Steve and I think I Love You, and for Love's on the Way, since that's actually a keyboard based on the record, so I can get that low C sharp. And I just couldn't get the hang of it. And I've tried, man. I have an ESP 5-string that since I do most of my stuff now for film and TV shit, that is all, you have to have everything. So I have the 5-string, but it takes concentration for me to play it. I have to really think of what I'm doing as opposed to the 4 strings. Pick it up and go. No problem. I got it.
Yeah, that's always interesting because I'm completely the opposite. If I pull up a 4-string, I gotta think about it.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Scott Soto's bass player has a 6, and he plays with TSO as well. And I picked it up and I was like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Well, B2B.
Speaking of TSO, we just lost
Paul.
Paul. Yeah.
Yep.
Sabotage. Sabotage was such a great band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was my first big tour with Sabotage.
Wow.
Sabotage. Yeah. In Cold Sweat. Yeah, on the Gutter Ballet tour.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
amazing every night.
I bet.
Yeah.
Just.
I think I played one of their songs here. When did I guess it was last semester. I played a Sabotage song, but I think I'll pull it out again next week.
I think we need to.
Kind of in memorandum type of thing. So
there you go. With that Strange Wings
for more Sabotage.
Yeah. Some Hall the Mountain King.
That's right.
Yeah, I used to hop up with John and sing backups on Strange Wings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Boy, I bet you had to bring it every night when you're playing with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because they enjoyed life on the road, and you're like, how are they going to play tonight?
But
like I remember, yeah, we were playing Corpus Christi, and the bartender, the guy was just so happy we were there, and it was sold out. It was crazy. And he goes, "Y'all have an open bar." Chris Oliva looks at him and goes, "Really?" And he says, "Yeah." And he literally turns to the waitress and says, "Bring me 5 gin and tonics." And it was for him, not for everyone in the band.
Good grief!
Like, oh,
unbelievable,
boy! Oh boy! Here we go.
Well, Chris.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say I got I got a comment here on Facebook that says, I have never seen Saigon live yet, but back in the day I had to buy a bootleg show on VHS to suffice.
Wow, where from?
I actually,
Where was the bootleg from? We don't
Yeah.
know.
yeah, it doesn't say, but
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Are you coming down this way?
We're going to be in Texas in the end of June, beginning of July.
I think
And that's the show at Trees?
Yeah, and then we're playing San Antonio and Houston as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I played San Antonio once. And that was the most interesting show I've ever played. The venue booked all out of town bands, and when we got there was nobody there. So we played for just the other bands. We got paid $6.
Oh,
It was great. Drove all the way to San Antonio for that.
For $6.
For $6.
yeah.
I think there's a song in there somewhere.
Yeah, there sure is.
But,
Start with the first line is, drove all the way to San Antonio to bend over.
yeah, but I think we need to hit that tree show. I think we need to head down there and hit the trees.
Dude,
Yeah.
come on down. Just,
Yeah.
Please. We'll we'll figure out the logistics via Facebook or, texting, whatever, between now and then. But sure, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we got a location on that bootleg. It was L'Amour.
Brooklyn, that's 92. That's the Lizardtory.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good show.
I have no idea where that's at.
Me either.
L'Amour's is in Brooklyn, in New York City.
Okay. All right.
They had two. There was two L'Amours. Actually, that was the night I met Jonathan Mover, who's now playing drums for us.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, and who else was there that night? Jason Flom was there. Wendy Barrett. It was. This is the stuff. This is why the band always calls me when there's an argument about what we did and where we did it.
Because you remember?
Yeah. I don't try to. It just happens. It just happens. It's just like, it's, okay, where were we? No, that was 94. No, what were we doing? It was this. It was no, that was in Baltimore. That wasn't in Washington.
So that means you're going to write the band biography. You know this.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. By default, it's my responsibility.
Well, that's what you get for trying to get that college education. You
Right?
See, I'm still writing papers.
Hey, it's a Badger thing.
Yeah.
It is. By the way, so check this. I'm trying to finish up part of my degree like 2 years ago. So Jason Flom, who has signed everyone in the history of, everyone from literally Skid Row to Katy Perry, right?
Yeah.
So he signed Saigon Kick. Amazing guy. He was friends with the Clintons. So I was doing a paper on the Clinton Health Access Initiative.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't get an answer back from them. I kept calling the hotline, So I called Flom, and I said, "Can you get me this number?" He's like, "Why do you want that?" I said, "I'm writing a paper." He was like, "Really?" I mean, because he knows me as the bass player in Saigon Kick. He goes, "You're kidding me." And I said, "No." I said, "So can you help me out?" I was like, "Yeah." So sure enough, I got a call from the Clinton Health Initiative and got a 97 on my paper.
All right.
Way to go.
And then I was pissed. Like if I got 97 in 1984, I'd be like, "Oh, awesome," and then I head out to the Schooners and have a great time. Now it's like 97. Why didn't I get 100?
Yeah. I know that feeling all too well. All too well.
I'm like, did I mess up a pronoun somewhere you didn't like? I used an Oxford comma. That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Buster.
I think the Oxford comma's coming back. I think they're.
I'm a believer in the Oxford.
Yeah, I am too.
See, me too. I like using it. But the funny part about that is Saigon Kick was playing Earth Day Birthday a couple of years ago down in Orlando, and I was traveling, so I couldn't get back in time to hand my paper in, because just airplanes and all that sort of stuff. So I get hold of the professor, and I say, "Hey, I have the paper. I just couldn't get it. I was late, whatever. Would you make an exception for me being late, because here's what I was doing." And I sent a picture from the stage of the crowd. So, and he was from Toronto and was a Rush fan. So he's like, okay.
Hey, nice.
All right.
I was like, hey, woohoo! It works.
You got a dispensation.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked when I was 22, but by God, it works now. You be careful where you fire those bullets. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's play another Saigon Kick song here. I'm gonna play something off of Water,
Cool.
and it's we'll call this in memorandum as well for the late David Bowie.
Oh, there you go. Space Oddity.
Yeah. So, how about that? Anything you want to tell us about that? Why did you guys pick that?
We've been doing it in the live set when we were opening for Extreme. So it was just one of those, let's try it in the studio and see what we get, and it worked because sometimes, you're kind of playing with fire there. It's Bowie, so you
Right.
want to do it well. And it turns out that our management at the time knew his management and played it for him, and he said he liked it. So we were pretty happy with that.
All right. Well, here we go. Space Odyssey, David Bowie.
Ground control to Major Tom.
All right. Well, we are back on the Crimson Metal Show, and I think this is about it.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks so much, Chris. It was great having you on.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing the war stories, too.
Oh, thank you for having me. And yeah, there's plenty more where those came from.
I can imagine.
So, yeah,
and
again,
you'll remember them all.
And where can we
Right, yeah, that's the and the problem is I'm gonna spend the next half hour going, oh yeah, and like, oh yeah, there's that, oh and that too,
Hey, where can we find more information about Saigon Kick right now online?
I would say the Facebook page, which I think is Saigon Kick Official.
Yeah.
Official Saigon Kick. Yeah, I think that's the best one. And then we're all on Instagram and Twitter and all that, so that'll give you the better example, like what we're doing individually, and certainly in glimpses into our silly, senses of humor and habits. Like, I had a friend of mine saw on the boat when we did the cruise, and she said, "Well, I know by the Instagram thing, you like your dog, your truck, and surfing. That's what you do." Apparently, like, yeah.
So you're rocking Facebook and Instagram then?
Yep. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, somewhat, but it seems like Instagram gets a lot more traction. And then again with social media, maybe you guys have noticed this. You don't know what you put up is gonna make people react to it. Like I put up a picture of, I put up the Harry Shearer thing, and like 8 people liked it. I put up a thing saying, "What is your dwarf name?" which is your first 3 letters of your name, and then the first 3 letters of the month you were born in, and it's got like 150 hits. Just in an hour. Like, so everyone wants to protect musicians here, but what am I? If I was a dwarf, what would you call me?
I don't know. You'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I would. See, if I could just figure that stuff out, I'd be killing.
Yep.
Killing. So, but yes, thank you so much for having me. Glad to come back anytime if you'll have me. And,
absolutely. I will definitely. We want to get. Who was the guy that wrote the Van Halen book up in Tulsa?
Greg Renoff.
Greg.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine.
We want. Matter of fact, we'd like to have you back when we get him on the show. We're going to have him come down in studio and we'll talk.
He's over in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
we'll
do that.
I'm going to see him in. He's going to be in LA when we're in LA, so I'm looking forward to seeing him there.
Is he doing another book tour?
Yeah, he's doing something in Pasadena. Yeah, I think he's actually speaking at Pasadena Civic
Community College. Yeah.
Community College. Yes. Sorry.
Sweet.
And he's going to be doing that because that's where the Van Halens went to college.
You think any of the Van Halen camp will show up for that?
That's a really good question because it's possible. I'd say if anyone would, it'd be Mike or Ed.
I think Mike gave him an interview when he was writing the book. I think Mike was the only one.
Yeah. We introduced each other over the web. I mean, Greg and I, and we've become fast friends since.
Yeah.
And I was had to inundate him with my Van Halen trivia. But he, so I'm going to see him. He just mentioned it literally. We talked this morning. It's like, I'm going to be out there the 29th. That Saturday. I was like, dude, we're playing the 28th.
Sweet.
I'll see you there.
Sweet. Give my best to Greg.
Will do. Yeah. And he was the conduit for this evening too. So off we go.
Awesome.
There we go. So that is it for this week's Crimson Metal Show. Next week we will have Austin band Christian Shields. They're going to be coming up for the Norman Music Fest at the end of this month,
awesome.
And we're gonna do a little interview with them, kind of promote them for when is Norman Music Fest? End of this month, the 28th, something like that. And I think they're going to be here. I'm going to be doing another interview with them, a video interview, that Friday night. So
Sweet.
We'll have that. So I guess
support your music, everybody. Support 'em.
That local music. And so, as I have been doing recently, we'll sign out and we'll play one of my tracks. Because guess what? This is my show, and I'm going to play one of my songs.
As well you should.
There we go. So this one is called Adna, which is Russian for alone.